Hello and welcome to Kuda's quick guide on how to add how to upload your own Jex. You'll be able to follow some of these steps if you already have your own Kuda's Canine package already set up and running. This is just for people that want to start from the beginning. You'll be able to actually use a lot of these steps for if you haven't uploaded your own canine before, or if you want to make your own individual canine, but most of this will be focusing on the Jex, how to replace the animations, where to use them, etc, etc. You'll be able to use my Jex assets on pretty much any other model that you wish. Just keep in mind you're going to have to scale them yourself, and also if you want any of the Jex body textures, you're going to obviously have to create your own Jex texture. Alright, so first off we're going to start with opening up Unity Hub. We're going to make a new project. I'm going to call this Jex Tutorial Works and create. It will take a moment. Unity will take a moment to open up a new project. It always takes a moment to compile everything the first time. There we go. So, what we're going to do is we're going to import our Kuda's Canine into this package. I just prefer starting off with importing this first. I just find that it makes things a bit easier. So we got all of our settings, we're going to import, and this is going to take a moment. Feel free to fast forward through these parts as well. Alright, so here we have my packet. We are going to be working off of the Fox just because that has the most to start, that just has the most Jex-like features. But if you want to play around with it, feel free to use any of my other presets, even the ones with clothing. Because mostly what we're going to be doing is replacing the body texture, removing the tails, shrinking down the ears, and adding on the Jex ears. What we need to do next is import. I prefer to import the SDK 3 and then the dynamic bone. I find that just keeps any scripts from kind of interfering with each other. We're going to import. This is also, again, going to take a moment. Alright, so that has been... Oh, I'm being a little bit rushed. There we go. Come on. There we go. Alright, so now you can see the lighting change. That's mostly because VR chat's lighting settings are a bit different than the Unity default. So, alright, we have that. Now we need to import the dynamic bone script. This is much smaller, so this should take fairly quickly. Each of my canines already have the dynamic script put on them, but we will be needing to add the script by hand to the ears and the Jex tails. Alright, so first what we're going to do is we're going to prep one of these. Just to make it easy, I'm going to use one of these preset bases. So what I recommend doing, with everything, even if you're not using Jex, with any sort of Unimodel, is when you first do your import, what you should do is always duplicate one of the presets. That way, if you mess something up, all you have to do is just go back and recopy the original preset. Just to make this easier, I'm going to drag this out so that way we don't have to be searching through a bunch. Usually what I also prefer doing is then hiding everything else, just so that you have just the one to focus on. Alright, so we are going to prep this for a default female. Feel free to skip the boob steps if you want to stick with the male. This is just because it's easier to remove than to add. Alright, so I'm going to go open this up and I'm going to select the body. I'm going to select blend shapes. And here, there's all the blend shapes you can choose from. I have a handy dandy image here that has just kind of blocks off what controls what with my blend shapes. So Jexes do not, well, I don't know if Jexes do not have slit eyes, but this one is not going to have a slit eye. I'm going to remove the larger ear, where is it? Larger ear blend shape, just because I'm already going to be scaling the ears down. They don't need to have the blend shape applied. And then I'm also going to remove the male chest. I'm going to keep it slender. Just make things easy. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the armature. And here you can see that there is the foxtail rig that already has. There's also the other rigs for all the other tails. Because so if you're not going to be removing this tail, ignore this step. Or adding on the Jex parts, ignore this step. This is recommended for if you're going to add any other tails to my models. If you leave all of these in here, it will only up the complexity of your upload, and VRChat will complain about it. So if you're going to be doing things like only using one of these tails in your upload, so say you want to just upload the fox, and you only want the fox tail, I recommend going through and deleting these other rigs because you will not need them. Tail mesh, pinhound tail, and curl tail. But we are also going to be not needing this fox tail, so I'm also going to delete those assets. Alright, so now we have a nut-tailed fox. Alright, next step is to shrink down the ears. I will get here. Actually, no. I'm going to first add the boob bones. So what I do is I go through here to one of my other presets and I open this up until I get to the chest. And here you can see I already have the script on the husky. So what I do is I copy a component and go here. Oh, actually, never mind. I'm sorry. Look, all you have to do is just... there you go. Now there are boob bones. I am smarter than I thought. Alright, cool. Awesome. Now we can move on to the ear. So, here we're going to remove the dynamic bone script because you do not need itty bitty floppy ears. What we're going to do is we are going to use the scale tool. And we are going to scale these down to the itty bitty ears. itty bitty. This way, there'll be no interference with the ears. The Jex ears are big enough that they will just sit on top of this. Alrighty, so we have this one prepped up. Now we need to import the Jex Textures. So I'm going to open this up. I'm going to have this open on my other monitor just to make it easier for me to, oh my god, easier for me to drag and drop. And I'm going to actually make this easier by creating, or make this more organized, creating a Jex folder. Open up that folder. I'm going to drag in first the FBX. So as you can see, this is just the FBX here. I'm going to click Legacy Blend Shape Normals and apply because VRChat prefers those settings. Next, I'm going to just quickly hide this armature and drag this into my project. So this is set at 000. What you would probably recommend doing is going to clicking on the fox and setting these to 000, just so that you don't have to try and, it's easier to move the body in position rather than try and move the ears in position. So, hey, there's now ears. See how they just kind of sit over top? Alrighty. Also, if you want to add hair to the model, you'll be doing similar sort of things as what I'm doing here to the ears. The hair, if you purchase it from me, you will need to resize. I do need to fix that up. But should just be able to resize, slap it on, follow similar rules as to what I'm doing. So this loads in here as a preset, so I will unpack it completely. Now there's all these tails. So next, what I'm going to do, just so that we have some visuals, come here you. I'm going to go to textures, and I'm going to first drag in the body textures. This will take a moment. Cool. And then I'm going to drag in the, oh, why did I grab every single one? The ears and tail textures. I'm going to create a new material. I'm going to call this Jex body. And for the textures, you'll be able to drag in any of your textures. I'm just using the default Jex textures that I have included with the package. Feel free to use these as much as you want, but you can also follow these steps to... Oh, no, that's not height. Oh, this is also me showing you what not to do. Alright, you'll be able to just scroll up here, go to none. There you go, it's gone. This goes into normal map. You will have to set fix now. You will have to do this for all the textures. Metallic. Now there's Jex body. If it's really shiny, drag down the smoothness. Easy fix. Alright. Also, if you, so the ears, or the eyes are the same as the fox, but if you have different colored eyes, you'll have to do the same thing with this, and I recommend dragging it onto the paw pads, because otherwise you're going to have a heck of a time trying to just get them underneath the eye caps. Alright, so create material, Jex Bits. And then I'm going to do the same thing as I did before. Drag everything into place. Fix that. Drag smoothness down. Enable emission. Drag emission in. I can just drag these in place. So, there we go. So, now we have a Jex starting to come together. So, what we need to do next is make sure that the Jex Bits follow the body, because right now they're not connected. They're just sitting there. What we need to do, this is going to be a little bit trickier for some people that aren't quite familiar with Unity, but I believe in you. You can do it. So what we have to do is find the ear rig. This is what controls these ears. We're going to drag that up into head. I also recommend, just to keep things easier, dragging the ears and storing them in the head as well. So those are now going to be following the body. And now what we're going to do is find the Jex tail rig, drag that into hips. That way it will follow the root body and not anything else that moves. I also recommend grabbing these tails and then putting them into the drop down. This part, we can just delete this Jex Bits final. We don't need any more, it's empty. So, now we have all these bits on, but they will not wiggle, so we need to add dynamic bones to these. So, what you have to do is open these up and open up the ears rig. I recommend not putting the dynamic bone on 001 for the Jex ears, because that is the root that controls the rotation of where these are located on the head. It's to help keep, I rigged it that way to help keep when the ears are moving around, to keep them from like sliding off of the head. What you need to do is go into the O2s and you should add component. I already have it, so you can search in dynamic bone, there we go. You need to click this, drag it over so that it is on this ear. You can see a faint line that shows that it is not connected to this ear. I need to go back into my Jex folder and there will be examples and settings here, as seen here. What you need to do is open up this image, because here is where I have all of the settings along with the colliders. I will be showing you how to add the colliders. Come on, over here. So, Jex ears 0.291. Feel free to mess around with these. These are just what I found looks nice. If you want more jiggly, if you want more stiff, go ahead and just have fun with it. You will always be able to reset back to these settings by following the guide. So, just so that we have it here, colliders 1. If you want your avatar to be more optimized, I recommend uploading without colliders, but if you want to be able to touch your, like, ears, hair, boobs, whatever, then you're gonna need colliders. VRChat isn't a fan of them, but you want to be able to touch your own ears, right? So, my model already has colliders, as you can see. So, what we need to do is, so we have one collider enabled, then we need to drag this over, and now this collider will interact with this ear. Make this easy, we will just copy components, paste component values, but now as new, and then we need to drag the ear, open up this, and then drag in the right hand. I do it this way so that way you can have it so that you can add 2 colliders, have it so that both hands will interact with one ear. I find this method is just ever so slightly more optimized, just so that it's like you're going to raise your right hand to mess with your right ear sort of things. I'm just a bit natural. Alright, so what we need to do next is now add the dynamic bones to the tail. We can hide these up because that's done. Now we can open up the Jex rig, and with this one we go into tail 001, and here I'll show on screen what these settings look like just in case. Come here. I typically don't put collision for the tail. If you want to be able to reach around and mess with your tail, go ahead. I just don't usually play with my own tail. Alright, so add dynamic bone, drag in the tail, set this to 0.2, set this to 0.05. And then what I also do is add in the distribution, which means that depending on where this curve is, so for the tail I do this one, which means there'll be less damping at the base but more damping at the tail. And as per the different curves will affect that. And for this one, less elasticity I think I'll have to edit this one. So yeah, so click that, drag it up, rotate, click this, drag it down, rotate until it's more or less straight. And there you go. So I am going to show you what this looks like. We're going here 1 second. Actually, to make sure that we don't lose any progress, you're going to make sure that you save right now. Save scene, save project. There you go. Now if there's any hiccups, you'll be able to get back to this section. I'm going to hit play, scene, click on this, make sure that you have in the move mode, and then now you can, this is how you'll be able to test all your jiggly bits. Wow. Sorry, I get distracted. Alrighty. Now we're at this point. I now need to drag in the animations. Oh, which I am going to have to go find. Whoopsies, that's okay. Give me uno momento. These are going to be properly set up in the final package. I just forgot to prepare them before the tutorial, and I apologize. Where is it? Kuda's Canine, where is it? Ah! There we go. Canine SDK3 assets, animations, Jex. Cool. Alright, I'm just gonna grab this. I'm gonna grab this folder, drag it in here. Which is basically the same as what you're gonna be doing. These will just have extra animations, so don't mind that. Alright, so included in this package are, I made a bunch of extra animations so that way the ears will animate along with your facial gestures. Alright, one step before we get there. I recommend, unless you don't mind having a very poor avatar, you're going to go through and pick just one of these tails. Because this is a default, I'm just going to use the foxtail. I recommend also, again, unless you plan on making an animation toggle to be able to switch between the tails, I will recommend deleting these, again, for optimization's sake. But you don't, if you don't have to, you don't want to, I just recommend it. Oakley dokley. So here's where things will start to get pretty technical. I apologize if I kind of go all over the place. Animation is just, it be that way. Alright, base animations, all settings. Alright, so all settings are the default radio menu. Oh, the canines. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh. Make things easy, I'm going to drag this into here, just so that it's here with my other animations. So, all settings. SDK3 is obviously more complex than SDK2, but once you know where everything goes, it's not overly difficult. I already have the visine set up in the view position. Eye movements is judging on how fast your eyes move and how long they focus on somebody. I prefer to have my eyes focus, especially for when I'm taking photos. So I set my eyes always all the way to confident so that they stay locked on somebody for longer, and all the way to calm so they don't, flick around too much. Feel free to play around with these. Already have the eyes set up, already have the blinking set up. I put all of my gestures and everything on FX. There's other ways to do it, other ways to add additives, gestures, etc. It's easier for me to just keep everything under one controller. It's not the best way, but it is my way. In the future, I might develop something a bit better, but for now, you just gotta do what I do. And I already have the main menu and menu parameters. Those we don't need to change unless like I said, you do plan on making toggles. I'm not going to be going over that in this video. I can go over that in another video in the future. Alright, so back to replacing the animations. In order for you to be able to control your ears and control your tail the same way that I have it set up in the default Canine package, we need to replace these animations, along with the facial animations. So for ear control, we're going to open up the blend tree for the ear slider. I apologize if these are a little bit small. I'm working on my smaller monitor. I do not have an ear twitch for the Jex ears, but they're so big they move around. If you wish to make yourself an animation where the ears will twitch, feel free to go ahead and do that. We're going to click on the blend tree so that we can see the ear twitches here, and then what we're going to do is I have Jex ear animations set up here. We're going to replace all of these with the Jex ears. So for the Jex ear default, Jex ears down, Jex ears left, Jex ears right, Jex ears up. And so this will mean that with the radial menu, it will go through each of these ear expressions, you can say. Alright, so we replace that one. Now we need to go into tail control, tail move, another blend tree. We will do the same thing, but instead of it being a radial menu, this one is a directional control. You can do a directional control for the ears as well, but the directional control requires 2 parameters, while the radial menu only requires 1. So to make things more optimized again, I do this method. Unless the ears are like super big like on my Cherebrums. Alright, so we are going to find Jex tail default, place that, and we're going to Jex tail down, Jex tail left, Jex tail right, Jex tail up. There we go. I don't know. Alright, so this should enable our ability to move our tail at will using the multi-directional control. Now what we need to do is replace the hand gestures so that the ears are animated with the hand gestures and also with the expression menus. What you need to do is find... Alright, so what we're going to replace is right finger gun, which is hand angry. And I'm going to replace that with Jex angry. Right hand open, going to be wherever it is, Jex excited. So this is on the right hand, and then on the left hand we're going to also replace the Jex excited, because I have, when your hand is open, I have the excited pose on both hands. And then one of these is sad. There we go. Left of victory, sad. So we're going to replace Jex sad. So those are the hands done. Now we need to do expressions, and these are the radial toggles. We need to replace angry with Jex angry, excited with Jex excited, sad with Jex sad. Feel free to mess around and make your own animations as you please. These are just the presets that I have. Alright, so this should animate everything as you so please. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure to save again. It's always good practice to save. And we are going to VRChat SDK, show control panel. And oh, it's all the way over here. Of course it is. And then we're going to log in and follow the usual steps. From this point on, you should be able to upload just fine. I do recommend doing, with SDK3 you can do local uploads, which are a lot faster than doing a full upload. It's a good way for you to be able to go over, make sure that things are working without having to wait for the full upload. Actually, that reminds me, one thing that you should also do before you upload. So when you go to upload, once you sign in and everything, and have this avatar selected, VRChat will often go, oh, your textures need mip mapping enabled. You should be able to just select autofix on the SDK and it will do it for you. But you can also come in here and select streaming mipmaps and hit apply. And that will accomplish the same thing, but you're going to need to do it for every single texture. So it's honestly easier to just let the VRChat SDK do it for you. Yeah, from there you should be able to upload and go forth with your Jexiness. Again, if you need to add hair. Make any other changes that you want. This is just my default. I hope this helped. I'm sorry if I jumped a little bit over the place. I need a bit more practice with doing guides. But yeah, I hope this was informative. And you should be able to use what you learned here for other models. In a future video, I can go through and try to show a little bit more of SDK 3 animation stuff. That would make this video too long. This is mostly just supposed to be for the Jexes. So, anyhow, I'm gonna sign off, and I hope that this helped. And let me know in the comments in my Discord. If you wish to join the Discord, I have my link right here. It's included in the package. And I sincerely hope that you enjoy using my model. Thank you again, and I hope you have a good day.